They say that it's the victors who are the ones who end up writing history. It's the victors who are the ones who are allowed to leave their mark and, well, put a piece of their lasting legacy for future generations to remember them by. But as we're greeted here this morning with another warm, sunny, comforting day, I'm often reminded that this is all shadowed by the crazy, crazy geopolitical world that surrounds us. And even though one of the greatest modern luxuries of man is that we get to ignore the kings and the governors who pontificate over us, generally speaking, it tends to still be an act of foolishness to outright ignore the shenanigans of the politicians. Speaking frankly, I wish I could just write them all off and pretend that none of them exist. But those idiots are the same exact idiots who are making power plays and who are deciding who gets to write the next chapter in the history books. You may or may not recall that a little while ago we spoke on the matter of politics in regards to artificial intelligence, robotics, and the general marriage between these two major innovations. We discussed how China was really actually taking the lead in a lot of manners, but I didn't really actually get into more of the technical details of the pros and the cons, the strengths and the weaknesses of every side, every player in the game. What I'd like to do today, however, is highlight two articles in particular. And these two articles both speak of the two main power players as we all know it, China and America, and how China and America are in some ways neck and neck, tugging on the same rope, playing the game of tug of war, trying to decide who's the leader. But in many other ways, the leader has already been decided. Now, basically, to get not too far into the weeds, if you will, we're looking at two major components that the US and China are vying for in particular. And these two articles that I'm sharing with you today are perfect proofs of them. On one side, we have China with their intellectual might. They have the brains, they have the thought, they understand and comprehend the underlying concepts of what is artificial intelligence and how that marries with robotics better than anyone else. They have a fundamental understanding of how to make it, how to design it, how to produce it, and how to bring it to market better than anyone ever could dream of. They have done it effectively and efficiently. And this is why, years before the US, years before any others, they are already producing and manufacturing androids, robots, and all sorts of crazy, crazy sci fi related tech that up until recently we only ever dreamed of. Meanwhile, and rather surprising to actually a lot of people in the international community at large, America has managed to score their own veritable goal, if you will. Although, the funny thing is while China aims for one goal, we seemingly seem to be playing an entirely separate game altogether. There is still only one field for the players to be on, but that hasn't stopped people from making an absolute mucking mess of the entire situation at large. Now, for America, we've managed to do the classic Americana thing. And we've decided, well, if we can't outpace them, And if we can't outthink them, let's just do what America does best. Let's bring in our might and our muscle, and let's just brute force the fucking situation and just bully and beat the snot out of everyone who even looks at us funny. America. It's funny how, in an intellectual foot race, we've managed to beat back the odds and completely confound our adversaries and rivals, not by using our own wits, but by entirely rewriting the script on how the game is played altogether. For you see, we in America don't simply rely upon intellectual prowess to lead the way. Instead, what we've done is we've designed hardware. We've etchings, magical inscriptions into the silicon that are so powerful and are so advanced that we leave our adversaries in the dust. In fact, it's purported that the average microprocessor in America is leagues better. We're talking multiple technological generations ahead of where China's at in terms of raw computational capability. And that one advantage has allowed us to, in fact, actually dominate the entire race altogether. It is highly interesting to see how both China and America have managed to stay neck and neck with each other, while also utilizing entirely different strategies altogether. Now, of course, the weird part in all of this is that, technically speaking, the referee of the race, as it were, is the civilian market. And as far as the civilian market is concerned, currently, America is strongly and firmly in the lead. AI systems in America, American-made systems in particular, have a level of rationale and reasoning to them that, ironically enough, the Chinese just can't seem to think about. They can't seem to figure out how we can be so logical, so reasonable. It's almost baffling. Especially when you consider our modern culture and everything else about this crazy nation of ours. But enough on that. The thing is the race isn't over. And the winner still has yet to be decided. Where we currently lay is where we put our money. Currently, the U.S. is investing in infrastructure, the building blocks that allow for a launch pad to be propositioned so that one day we may soar to the stars. However, China has invested too, but they haven't invested in brick and mortar. They haven't invested in stone or steel. Instead, China invests in their youth. China invests in their people. China invests in the humanity behind the innovation. The people who build the robots. And the return on investment there, I'd like to think that the potential is extraordinarily high. But what are your thoughts? What are your feelings on the matter? As an American citizen, do you think that this methodology of brute force tactics is the true way to forge ahead in this iterative process? Are you a Chinese citizen? Do you consider the intellectual ponderings of your peers and subordinates? Have you considered how your intellectual pursuits are not only revolutionizing, but entirely rewriting the script on how this game is played altogether? Where do you think you lie on all of this too? Do you think one or other strategy is superior to the other? Do you think instead it's maybe the marriage of both strategies, that we need to be doubling, tripling down on both? not just one or the other. Do you think this is all poppycock and this is all nonsense and we shouldn't be investing in any of this at all? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your opinions on the matter? I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, see you later.